Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Hello, good morning and a very warm welcome to Newsline. Today we are on location in the beautiful hill country capital of Kandy, and we're at the University of Peradeniya in one of the faculties, and we are delighted to have, apart from Bandara, who's here.
Faraz, you are in black today, this morning.
Yes, the man in black.
Not the men in black, the man in black.
Yes, that's right. And we're delighted to have on our program Dr. Nilmini Wanigasuriya, who is the Director of Education at the Faculty of Dental Science here. And very good morning, madam. And thank you for being on the program. Dr. Wanigasuriya, what did you think of the startling evidence of this all-encompassing rural poverty that the Government door-to-door campaign has revealed? What do you think?
It really was an eye-opener, because I think a lot of us tend to think that things are not so bad, because often that's what we see. And even when we see the occasional really sad, pathetic situation somewhere, we kind of, we like to think that is a isolated case, one-off, and so we think that generally we are better. After all, we are supposed to be out of the developing country. We are almost moving into a middle-income country, and both things are looking up. So through the program and through my personal involvement in that also, one could see that is not the case, and it's really surprising, it's shocking.
Indeed, yeah. What struck me as a sort of analysis of what the Newsfirst Government door-to-door campaign unearthed was startling evidence of hopelessness, helplessness, and homelessness, and actually all within an all-encompassing and abject poverty. And I thought that this was an utter lack of opportunity for these people to live this life with some dignity. It appeared to me, Doctor, that these people were only hoping for an opportunity in their next life.
Perhaps you are right, because I think being predominantly Buddhist, they think that there's something more, and also tend to accept things, which is not altogether a bad thing, because if we were, some things in life need to be accepted. But whether it lulls them into apathy, and that is of course.
It is all very sad.
Yes.
I don't know the meaning of this, but I heard some of our reporters, who incidentally were not obliged to do this program. They went there because they wanted to. They didn't get paid any more or any less, but But I heard them talking Bandara. Somebody said that they were not talking of Karme, but they were talking of Urme.
No, Karume.
Karme.
Not, they said it's Karume, because some of these people have thought it's our Karume, which is wrong.
Yes.
Now again, Nilbin, now you spent one day with Tilak in Sigiri Mul, right? Yes. What were your experience? What did you see? You went with the team, we went together, and what did you see? What are if you could share your experiences with our viewers?
That particular village that we went to, it was, there was one man in particular who actually said, we don't want samurdi, we don't want dole-outs. He said, we can look after ourselves, except for certain things that we cannot do by ourselves, like roads. He said, we are not capable of building proper roads to the village, that you have to give us. Then water, not only for, clean water for drinking, but water for agriculture and cultivation. There is a tank, it's full of silt, There's trees growing there, and it is really, if it was cleaned up, we'll have plenty of water for cultivation.
And also what I experience is in Batiklo, in the area of Kardianaru, they have spent millions of rupees to build these water tanks. But nothing has happened. For us, I think these are the people, they should be taken to FCID. This is what I feel, for cheating the people.
Actually, I was reading one of the international papers, I think it was from Singapore, and there's a law there which can prosecute these people for non-delivery of their work, what is expected of them for work.
Or hoodwinking the masses.
Well, yes, but I don't think that we have anything in Sri Lanka about that.
If you do that, I think 80-90% of the people will be prosecuted under that, because that's one of the things I was talking with recently. A lot of the people, particularly in the government sector, seem to be preoccupied with finding out what can I get, what allowances can I get, what can I get more than my salary. And as far as delivery or work is concerned, they are trying the complete opposite, which is how can I get away with doing the minimum. This
Actually,
attitude,
yes.
As long as we have this attitude, I mean, I don't know how we are going
And also, Nilbini, we really have to thank, on behalf of Newsfirst, we have to thank your Vice Chancellor, the University of Peradeniya, and your students. Can you tell us, like, why you wanted to get involved with us and how you felt?
We tend to forget that universities have the function of social community involvement. That's an important function of all universities. Of course, we don't need to say that's the top priority, but it is. There are, in fact, in the West, I know some universities who actually place that as their first priority. But I'm not saying we should do that here, but it is one of them. Apart from teaching and research, that's the third function. So that's one. Of course, the Vice Chancellor said he wants to be seen in the community, and he asked who would like to go, and I said I would like to go, because personally I like to get to know people, and I like to help. I mean, I like to see the differences, so I said I would like to go. So that's how I got involved personally.
We must acknowledge their significant contribution in this program to help raise public awareness of what exactly is going on in rural Sri Lanka. And some of these places weren't so rural after all. You know, there was that place just outside Gampa. Gampa is not that far off from this huge metropolis called Colombo. Where where our dear Prime Minister is suggesting, and he has got a many billion-dollar program for a megapolis. But in all this, it's shocking that instead of the many billions of dollars, that they can spend maybe in billions of rupees and give the people in the mass of rurality some dignity, to live in some dignity, not to live in a shack. Some of them, it's so pitiful.
And also, Nilmi, like Faraz, I mean, I must give you the credit for that. You know, he summed it up after this, what we did with Gammad, that they are the forgotten people. Your thoughts on that?
You know, when you talk of helping people, sometimes there are problems that you can't help with. But at least giving a hearing ear, a listening ear is help. That itself is sometimes help. So I think that has happened already. People were so pleased that at least there was somebody who sat and asked, is there any problem?
That's true.
That is one thing.
They were very grateful that somebody had come.
Yes, but I think as far as awareness is concerned, I think it really was an eye-opener, not only to the government and authorities, but also people like me and other people, other kids who are growing up in the cities who have absolutely no idea. I mean, for example, in the village that I went to, the Buddhist monk said, we had 3 proper toilets in the village. I mean, each house has more than that in some areas. Now, for the whole
Indeed.
village, they had 3. So I think it's good for people living in that situation to know that there still are people living like this.
Yes, somebody told me, sort of berreted me actually, in Colombo, that Newsfirst is full of this program. And I think I said, well, what have you done about it? You can stop us by helping the people, and then we won't have that aspect to report on. But I think that people have become sort of very distanced from this thing, from this poverty and the suffering of these people. I mean, and there's, in some cases, like you say, there was one couple who went to just outside Batticaloa, and when I asked her what it is that her problem is, she told me that they want an opportunity to earn some money so that she can buy her tablets. So I said, what tablets do you take? She said, wait a minute. And she went off and she got me a packet. And I looked at it and I recognized it instantly because it was tablets for controlling diabetes. All she wanted was about 1,300 extra rupees a month. Okay, so you can help them 1 or 2 or 3 months, but they don't want that. They want to be sure in their minds that they have an opportunity to earn, to buy and pay their own way. I don't think that people are happy to sit back and wait for a handout.
Yes,
however irregular that is.
This is what that man specifically, very categorically said. We don't want samurdhi. That's not what we want. But give us the main things which we cannot do for ourselves, and we will develop the village. That's what he specifically said. So in my opinion, I think we must decide development. I think there's a whole lot of inequality in development. In some areas we see high levels of development, whereas others are rock bottom. So I think as a country, if we are bragging about moving up the, to a middle income and all that, we must decide what's the bottom line that everyone in the country must have. The least, like access to a motorable road within so many, I don't know.
And water, the basics.
Yes, water. Okay, I think this time, because we were doing these things in the middle of a drought, probably the problem was a little bit higher than it normally is, because it is, anyway, everywhere there is a...
But I think even if there is one family without access to water, it's one family too many.
That's correct.
These are the basic human rights. I saw a board as we approach Kaluwanchikudi, which is 26 kilometers outside the hustle and bustle of Batticaloa. And it said 99 rupees for nighttime data package. And I thought to myself, how completely off is this? Because how can they have that when they have very little access to power? And that little hamlet, a 15-year-old girl told me that about 4 to 5 months in a year, not consecutively but put together, their houses are just flooded and washed away. She has to store her books. I asked her where she keeps her books, and she said she's learned to keep it as high up as possible, closer to the roof. And these were not 10-foot high ceilings. They were, high as your hand can go kind of roofs. And now these are, and then one of those in the same area, I noticed that a child who was asked what she'd like to do when she grew up, and she said a doctor. And that 20 years that would take her didn't seem possible when you looked at what they had to live with on a day-in, day-out basis. There was no opportunity.
Well, I don't know, I may not agree completely with what you say, because we see students coming from kind of, you would think impossible that this child could have ended up in the faculty of medicine or as a doctor, but it does happen. But I think what's not acceptable is that it is the odd only one person, but I think the opportunities must be available for everybody if they are smart enough to get there. That is not there. So that's why I'm saying with water, with roads, and elephants seem to be a huge problem, that their crops can be destroyed in 1 hour, which they have labored for months. So basic things like that must be available to everybody. And then from there, not everyone is going to develop, not everyone will do.
Yeah.
But if they don't, that's not because they do not have the basic facilities. You have to give the basic facilities and then see, okay, development can still vary, but the bottom line has to be.
Even now somebody pointed out to me in Batiklo, now most of these little kids, they walk 6 kilometers to school.
Yes.
They don't have the basics, no uniforms, no clothes, no slippers, no shoes.
Yes.
But somebody sarcastically told me in Batiklo, but they wear a tie without anything. You educate youth and you put them out. As a professor, how do you see that situation? So somebody said it very sarcastically, look, this is what is happening to our children.
Well, we have a big problem with priorities. I think that I must say, because in the very same village that I said there are only 3 toilets for the whole village, one family, we actually went right into the so-called toilet and looked at it, which was basically a hole in the ground with some kind of scaffolding around. That same house had a flat screen television in the house. So it seems
actually, yes.
And doesn't, I mean, it's inconceivable to me. I didn't have a flat screen TV till just the other day.
Maybe somebody sent it from Middle East.
Well, there's another.
They can sell it and build the toilet.
That's true.
There's another aspect. I must say this, and I haven't kept up, and I must research this properly. Perhaps ask our wonderful finance minister about this. But when this government was first elected, in his first sort of budget, he said that he was going to place a cap on microfinance, the rate of interest. I did some research, and some of these people in these rural areas told me that the interest rate can be as much as 56%. That's an awful lot of percentage points. And I think the minister was going to cap it at 40%. Now, we understand that collecting of money is very expensive, but I think the answer to the flat screen TV is that whichever the finance company was, have a pretty good team out there who know how to sell.
Yeah, maybe. But this is where another thing that struck me came. I also asked some of them, do you have disputes? Do you have problems? And that was not in front of everybody. I was, some of the women got pally with me with my phone number. So we were walking together and I kind of quietly asked, and yes, there's drink, there's drugs, and there are disputes. So, sometimes, family finances, they don't know how to manage the man. And in one place, we saw a whole flower bed bordered with beer cans. I'm not saying beer is bad or anything like that, but taking their finances, can they really afford all that money?
Because they may not necessarily have bought it. They could have gone and collected the empty cans, Doctor.
Only one household.
But I want to say this, that when you see people with flat screen tellies or a music system in essentially nothing but a hut, and you tend to think, well, what have they got? But actually, Doctor, if you look at it another way, That is the only form of entertainment they have. That is perhaps their only salvation. What can they do? A house is going to cost them very much more. And talking about houses, before I forget, Bandula, I must say this to you. I noticed with great interest that this government has announced 65,000 homes to be built in the former conflict areas. Well, that's wonderful.
But people are questioning that.
Indeed, because the price per house is around 2.1 million rupees. This is outrageously, doubly expensive.
And do we need a French company to come and build these houses?
Exactly. And why is this French company? Who is the agent of this French company in this country?
Who is the agent?
Agent, I will tell you without naming the person. I will, because I must get my document before I can name that person. But that person is a senior member of the United National Party. He is a big-time financier of that party. And both he and other members of his family are serving in government. Now, nothing wrong.
As members of parliament?
Yes, indeed they are. But what I'm saying is that if you took 600 square feet as a general house, those were the houses that post-tsunami they were trying to build. The minister in charge of resettlement and so on explained the disparity he blamed it on the spiraling dollar-rupee rate, which is now about 145, 147. It was 130 when Mr. Rajapaksa was sent home. But I must bring to the notice of our viewers that there is a big scam in the making.
Another scam after the bond scam.
Indeed, because in between all this abject poverty, and we're going out there and arousing the conscience of the people of this country, the politicians are carrying on regardless. That's what annoys me.
And also for us, we have to thank the cabinet minister, young Faiza Mustafa, for getting involved with this government and offering to help. I think that should be welcome for us.
Yes, that is welcome news.
To the family disputes and flat screen TV. So apart from roads, which I mentioned, and water, and safety from wild animals, including elephants, I think there is some need for some sort of counseling, so that families, they minimize their disputes, because it's tied up so closely with how they manage their finances and harmony. Now, you were saying that may be the only entertainment. Maybe, but it may also be damaging the family relationships, because one of them, maybe the man of the family, I don't know, maybe sitting in front of the television, not doing what needs to be done. So
yes.
I feel that there is a need for that. Now, one may say, we didn't have this kind of people, this is a foreign thing, this is Western, counseling is not in our culture. I think...
But if we've moved ahead in all other spheres of life, why not move ahead
A
on
lot
this?
of counseling was done after tsunami.
Yes.
So a lot of psychosocial.
You see, one may say it was all connected with the village temple, people went to the monk, but the relationship people had with the temple is different now. The priests who were in those days, I believe, were people whom everybody looked up to, and they were self-effacing people who really wanted to serve. One may question whether that is the situation now.
Now most of them are in parliament, Nilmini. That's the problem.
And also driving around in Benz cars. And also, you see, the relationship to religion people has changed. So I believe now we have a place for secular counseling, not connected with any religion, whether Christian, Buddhist or whatever.
You're saying that famous Gamai Pansalai Babai Dagabai is gone? Not anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad model. It may be, but does it work now? That is my question.
Talking about the elephants, and when we were in an area of particular, this group of people told us that of the elephant problems, and I asked them, well, what can the government do? What can they do? They said, well, there is a forest not far from here, and all they need to do is for the wildlife service to chase or shepherd these elephants away into that area. Now then, in Kenya, where they also have this elephant-human conflict, what they do is they employ helicopters to come in and chase the elephants into an area, and then of course they have dug huge trenches, they have electric fences and so on. But I was thinking, whilst they were saying, my thoughts simply moved to the vast sums of monies and trips that the former first family made use of on their helicopter journeys around the country. I'm sorry, Bandula, but you know, my suspicious mind went straight to that.
For us also, we have to tell our viewers that already the foundation stone was laid in Tanamalvila by well-wishers to build houses.
Ah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that was carried in our news. I think there's results from Gammad.
There you go. We've made a difference.
In the village that we went to, the Buddhist monk, very sarcastically, you know, he was saying, of course he was sarcastic at times, and he said, whatever amount of aid or money we get, this country will never develop. And I said, Venerable, why is that? Corruption. Is it corruption? And he was referring later on to a certain amount of money that was passed to build this electric fence. And he said, when he was probing about that, somebody said, you know, that certain person will get interdicted if you press with this, so please keep quiet. So he says, it's not that money has not been allocated or that, you know, nobody's trying to do something, but the money is just fizzled out before it gets to where it must.
For us, maybe you should meet that Buddhist monk.
Indeed, I'd like to have a jolly chat with him with the camera running. But in the meantime, I'd like to say this, that if your conscience has been aroused watching the reports of the Newsfirst Gammad door-to-door campaign, and if you want to be part of the effort to relieve these people, to tell them that they are not the forgotten people of Sri Lanka, all you have to do is contact Newsfirst. The details will appear on your screen soon, or you can do it on your own. If you want to be part of us and help along with us, side by side, as you've done in the past, needless to say, you're very welcome to do. Isn't that right, Bandula?
Yes, for us.
Good. On that note, I think we're coming up to the end of a wonderful morning, and from the hills of Kandy, I'd like to thank Dr. Nilmini Wanigasurya for being on our program. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. And I'll thank Bandula too.
Thank you, Man in Black.
And that's about it, I suppose, for Newsline from Kandy. Thank you for watching. Take care. Have a great day, and God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.